Hi, it's Nan. Today I want to share with you something I've noticed again and again during my local workshops. It's probably the most common mistake watercolor beginners make, and honestly, it surprised me at first. So, what is it? It's using too much water when trying to fix or adjust the painting. It sounds counterintuitive, right? You think adding water would help maybe lighten a color or smooth out a shape, but most of the time that extra water actually makes things worse. Let me show you a few simple examples. I will start by painting a soft sky using one color, and I want it to have a gradient effect that goes from dark at the top to light at the bottom. Now after the first layer, let's say I notice the bottom isn't light enough. I want to make that part feel softer and brighter. So what should I do? A natural instinct is to wet our brush and think a bit more water will help wash that area. But look what happens. A big water bloom starts to form, and we get harsh watermarks. The transition feels kind of messy. What we should do is actually the opposite. Clean the brush, dry it on a towel paper, and then gently lift some color by dabbing or sweeping the bottom area. You see, this gives a much more natural, smooth gradient effect. You can even use this technique to create subtle textures like soft clouds by lifting color from the painted sky. I know it feels a bit counterintuitive, but in watercolor, the less water you use, the more control you often have, especially when you are making adjustment on painted area. Let's look at another situation I see all the time. This one's about adding darker tones. Here I'm painting a simple mountain shape in one color. After the first layer, it feels a bit flat. I want to add more contrast and some darker tone on the top ridges. So what do we do? Most people choose to wet the brush, grab more paint, and go straight back in. But again, too much water creates harsh edges, and the darker color just spreads like this. Then you try to fix it by pushing the paint around, and finally the whole mountain becomes one big flat color again. Now watch what happens when I do it differently. I skip the extra water and just pick up a small amount of paint. I dab it gently where I want it, and then use a clean, dry brush to blend that edge. This makes the difference. It keeps the variation exactly where I want, while still feeling soft and natural. Sometimes we want to blend two colors, for example in a background or a floral shape. Here I paint the first color, then the second one, but now the transition line between them looks too sharp. What's your first instinct? Wet the brush and try to wash that line away. But again, we get an even bigger line. The water just pushes both pigments further apart instead of blending them together. Let's do it again. But this time, instead of using water, I will dry my brush and gently rub the transition. I can even sweep the dry brush slightly into the opposite color to create a smoother blend. It takes a little patience, but the result is worth it. So when we're fixing or refining our painting, it's better to start with a dry brush. When I say dry brush, I don't mean completely dry. It just needs to be drier than the paper, so it won't push the color around and leave unwanted watermarks. Watercolor can be tricky at first, but if you ever feel like your painting is getting messy or out of control, take a breath. Try to adjust it with a drier brush. You might be surprised how much this simple habit can change the way you paint. And sometimes we also need to let go. Those little imperfections might actually bring more character to your painting. If you want to explore watercolor in a simple and playful way like I do, check out my online miniature watercolor course for beginners and enjoy the current special offer for limited time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'm Nan, a miniature watercolor addict. See you next time.